Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. What is the BJP afraid of? The recent events seem to indicate that there is definitely some hesitation, some bias in the way the BJP has been responding to events inside the country. There are also events happening outside the country. To make sense of all this, I'm going to have our guest explain to us how he's seeing the situation, and you don't want to miss this. Please like this video so that we can get the maximum viewership. Our guest of the evening is Dr. Subramanian Swamy. He's a six-time member of the parliament. He was a former law, commerce and justice minister, and he's a regular at our channel, and we wish he could come more often, but we will take what we will get. Dr. Swamy, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel, sir.
Namaskar.
So Dr. Swamy, I would like your opinion on, first, just a yes or no, sir. What is the BJP afraid of, or are the BJP afraid of? And if yes, what?
Well, there's no such thing as BJP in today because of the way it is being structured. All party organizations are nominated. None of them. The party constitution requires elections. And I've been part of Jansangh, I've been part of Janata Party when BJP, when Jansangh was a part of Janata Party, but Janata Party had elections and the Jansangh, participated and won, I think, 3/4 of the seats and so on, and which has led to the split actually of the Janata Party, where the socialists got so frightened by the takeover by the Jansangh. And it somehow since Mr. Modi has become the Prime Minister, the party has not held any elections for organizational matters. Even where it's easy to hold, for instance, within the parliamentary party, who will be the leader, deputy leader, all these are done by elections in the past. It's not done. So essentially, I would say that Modi is, he's the master of all that he surveys in the Janata Party, in the BJP. And he has a Sancho Panza called Amit Shah. He doesn't make any decisions. He can propose things to be decided, but ultimately it is Modi who has the final word. And so it's a Modi-run party as of now. It's an enormously large party, and it has a steady supply of party workers for every event, and that's the RSS. I mean, they don't have to recruit much. But today what we are finding is all decisions are being made on an ad hoc basis. It's being made essentially after consulting Mr. Modi. And if Modi is okay with it, then it is implemented. That's how the decision making is taking place. So whatever you are watching, listening about the BJP, remember that it is not a outcome of a democratic system.
Dr. Swamy, one thing that stands out in the recent suspension of the lone member of Legislative Assembly of BJP in the Telangana Assembly, T. Raja Singh, he first said that I will not allow this one Muslim comedian from performing. So to counter that, they arrested him. And then he allegedly made some statements about this particular performer's boss. And that got, some other ways of, it got construed in a different way. And suddenly there were shouts about, the standard sar tan se juda kind of comments. And then he got, arrested. And then he got bail from the court, where the court said that this guy hasn't taken any names. And there is really no way to, arrest him for that. So they gave bail to him. But then in the night yesterday, there was rioting. Old City, I believe, had riots, and I saw some TV footage. See, the TV footage says 20,000, but I saw 2,000 maybe. I don't know. Certainly people were on the street. But today, Dr. Swamy, you can dial a riot. WhatsApp is the medium through which you can dial a riot. And there is UPI, you can get paid. I mean, it will be very, very below the radar. So nobody is going to look at a 200 rupee donation from a charitable foundation to your account. So these things have to be looked at it from that point of view. That's one thing. Now they have re-arrested the same person. In the meantime, through all these things, at some point, BJP suspended this fellow for 14 days, and they said that, give us a reason why we should not ban you from the party. And see, the interesting thing, Dr. Swamy, is before BJP suspended him, the state president, he came out in support of Raja Singh. See the whole thing. I mean, there is what you just said, that entire decisions are being taken at the central level. Then that's exactly what it was. It proves that thing. They overruled him and said, let's suspend this fellow. Now, to me, Dr. Swamy, this is not a good sign. It doesn't matter which party is in power. Just because you are the least among the best, least among the worst, I should say, least among the worst choice, doesn't give you any right to be undemocratic. And that's the thing that is really bothering me, Dr. Swamy. So your call on why do you think your good friend Asaduddin Owaisi, he seems to be a nice chap when you sit down and discuss with him, but he doesn't seem to rein in his younger brother, who's the one who fulminates.
Yeah. See, you have raised a number of important questions about a democratic society. Now, democratic society is not just a question of going to elections and voting. It's a structure. You have a constitution in India, we have a rule of law, we have courts, we believe in the principle that you are innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law, all these things. And in that context, you have been seeing a series of people taking a law into their own hands. And regrettably, it started in Uttar Pradesh with people, arbitrarily deciding somebody is eating a cow and somebody is not eating a cow. And, it's not a Hindu-Muslim issue. It's we have lawlessness in, people with no respect for democracy or they are illiterate. So we have in all parts of our society, if you divide that society on religious terms. So I won't call them Hindu, because Hindus, have a very long tradition of giving the other side an opportunity to explain and so on. You've seen Mahabharata, Ramayana, and so on, where people have been given opportunities to explain, and when they are adamant, then of course a judgment is made. So what we are seeing is just this. There's a certain taking law into your own hands. That's the thing that I would call is the disease that is striking us. Now, I'm no supporter of that Nupul Sharma, you see, and she used to say awful things when she was in the IT cell or as a spokesman of the party. I'm not going to defend her as a total personality. But she also has rights under the Constitution, and what happens is that she says something which is obnoxious according to them. I don't know what she said, and some people say all she said was that this is in Hadith. That Islamic treatises are all in three parts. One is the Quran, then there is Hadith, and then there is another thing. I think something Sirah or something like that.
Right.
So one is dealing with theology, that is Quran, and the second is dealing with what Muhammad did, and the third is what Muhammad said you should do. So I mean, that's what has been explained to me. I'm not a deep scholar, but I've had many friends whom who are surprised they are my friends. People used to be damn surprised that 𝙒𝙗𝙀𝙗 Shahabuddin and I used to be buddies. People couldn't just understand how can Swamy and 𝙒𝙗𝙀𝙗 Shahabuddin work together, eat together. I mean, we used to have lunches. We've seen, he was also member of parliament. I was member of parliament. We used to sit together and be, very cordially discussing. Same thing with Owaisi. People are really surprised. And I must tell you on this show that I don't believe anyone who says that Owaisi is not a patriot. But I told Owaisi in one public program, you are a patriot, but you're not a nationalist. So he said, what's the difference? I said, the difference is that you will defend the country. And you have been, whenever you've been going abroad, you've been defending India. We get reports from our embassy. But when it comes to admitting that your ancestors are Hindus, you are not ready to accept. Because I said, if you don't believe me, then let's go to the most famous microbiological laboratory in Hyderabad, which is where we'll test our DNA. And your DNA, my DNA is the same, you see. So what does it mean? I'm not saying, you can't say that I descended from the Muslims, because Muslim is a later religion. So we have these quarrels, but we've agreed to remain friends. No, what I find disturbing, and that is true of Owaisi's brother also, and that is taking law into your own hands. Quran tells me so. I mean, you can't have one IPC and also Quran. You see, you can't run a democracy unless you have one set of laws which everyone accepts. And so, therefore, this is the disturbing part. All right, you said this is blasphemy according to our religion. Somebody says you killed a cow, so I will kill you. Whatever it is, I'm not making a Hindu-Muslim issue out of this, but I think it is time for politicians in power to be very, very strict, even at the cost of losing power, but see that nobody takes law into his own hands. Crack down if you can, in any way you want, but make it an example that you can't take law into your own hands. And that is what is required today. Now, what happened to this is another typical example to this. He's one of the most popular leaders of BJP in Hyderabad. I think he has been elected when nobody has been elected.
That's right. He's the sole BJP MLA now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, to put him in jail and then realize that he has said nothing, then again put him in jail because overnight there was a riot. I mean, you're being blackmailed by mobs, you see. So I think the disease is not Hindu-Muslim at all. It is a total disrespect for the law of the country, the constitution of the country, and the heritage we have from our past.
Dr. Swamy, the situation is, when I grew up, sir, I went to the old city to study. 5 years I studied in the old city. And the population...
Hyderabadi.
Hyderabadi, yes, sir. Once in a while, I lapse into Hyderabadi and I kind of poke fun at Mr. Owaisi, which he seems to take it in good humor because he has never called me and told me what he thought of my intellect. So that's a good sign. Sir, when I used to study, the demographic distribution in the old city was 55% Hindu, 45% Muslim. Today, it is 85% Muslim and 15% Hindu. And the result of that, sir, was the way the municipal elections went down last year in Hyderabad. The entire set of people have migrated. There's the Musi River. There, one side is old city and the other side is new city. And they all went this side and they voted overwhelmingly for BJP. So if you look at the constitution of the number of seats now in the mayoral, whatever legislature you call it, sir, the MIM got the same number of seats or one or two less seats. And BJP has got a very big chunk at the expense of TRS.
Yes.
Now, so
the polarization.
Sir, but how long will Akbaruddin Owaisi keep saying that, Islam khatre mein hai, when you are saying the exact opposite? Dr. Swamy, I had a guest who came on our show and said that the reason Hindus started departing in droves from the old city was that their neighbors who happened to be non-Hindus started making comments about, oh, I know your daughter is now going to this college or going to work at this place or change jobs. I mean, this is wrong. They were keeping tabs on the female members of a family. This is what really, really happened, sir. And then another data point that they said was that if you look at the sale deed in the registry in the old city, it was all one way. Only one community was purchasing property. So what I'm trying to say, Dr. Swamy, is hasn't this thing gone enough? Are they going to continue to say Islam khatre mein hai when there is really nothing like that?
Well, you see, you have given me one side of the story. I have a daughter whose last name is, my second daughter's last name is Haider. So I get all these Twitters saying she's converted, she's a Muslim, you have also converted. So imagine. So, and the fact is, none of her bloody business. She's not in politics that you can put her to any test. First of all, I'll put the record straight. The boy's mother is a Hindu, and the father is a very distinguished diplomat of our country, who told me that I'm an atheist or a non-believer, and I don't believe in all this hocus pocus. So I said, then, the marriage is has to be consolidated by, the engagement process is to start according to the mother. She's an Arya Samaji, by Arya Samaj methods. By Arya Samaj ritual, then the pujari will come and all. He said, no, I'll also sit there because he's my son. Now, I can't go propagating, no, my son-in-law is not a Muslim, or my daughter is definitely not a Muslim. But this thing goes on. It goes on both sides. Now, as far as that Azharuddin's younger brother, what's his name? Akbaruddin. One day in a speech, he said, give me 15 minutes of police freedom, freedom from police, and I'll finish all the Hindus, cut them to pieces and finish them all. So I was asked this question, and I said, he says, give me, he said 5 minutes, not even 15 minutes. He said 5 minutes. He said, I said, in Gujarat, all the Muslims were screaming, even though the police was active throughout. And what happened? How can you say 5 minutes? You will finish off when you were screaming for more police in Gujarat. So I don't want Gujarat, I don't want in Hyderabad. Now, this kind of hyperbolic speeches actually get a life of their own. And that's what creates the problem. So, to put your point in a short way, we are in a situation where nobody is dialoguing. We are in a situation we don't understand that this country came, and I would say this particularly for the Muslim population. Remember that those who didn't want to stay with Hindus were given a separate country. 1/3 of India was divided and given away as Pakistan. And therefore, when the remaining you want to stay here, and at that time Ambedkar was saying, no, let us exchange population. Now, once you have accepted parliament, a partition, that Hindus must live in one place and Muslims in another. And but that time Gandhi said, no, those who don't want to go, we should not push them out, etc. That's the process. But in the end, the DNA of both Hindus and Muslims is the same, which means that your ancestors are Hindus. Are the Muslims willing to accept that? They want to look like the Arabs, they want to dress like the Arabs. I can't say this publicly because the Indians are dressing like butlers of the British Empire, you see. I see our foreign minister going in tie, and it looks horrible. So how can I tell the Muslims that why are you dressing like Arabs when our Hindus are dressing like with tie, coat, shirt, pant, you see? So therefore, we have to now have a more flexible policy, and that cannot be by appeasement. It has to be by saying this is what the Constitution says, and beyond, we cannot dishonor even one particular thing. There is no scope. This says, our Constitution says Hindi shall be the official language with Sanskrit words. Jawaharlal Nehru said, no, we should have Urdu words also. And there's no place in the Constitution for that. So all that the Constitution says is you should have uniform civil code. Why we don't have uniform civil code? Even Modi is hesitating. The closest he came was on the triple talaq. Even that is not formalized, by the way. It's still going on, triple talaq. So I think we need tougher politicians who can enforce the Constitution and recognize that this is a continuing civilization of the Hindus. There's no doubt in my mind that India is today famous culturally only because it's a continuing civilization of the Hindus, not because of any other religion. Yes, we have looked after other religions. The Parsis are all the time praising us Hindus. Strictly speaking, except that foolishness of Operation Blue Star, the Hindus and the Sikhs were almost one. You could never make a distinction. So this is, the fundamentals have not been made clear to our population, and as long as that is there, all these extremists will get a handle, and they will demonstrate that they have a crowd, and that the politicians then want their vote. All is going to lead to a terrible situation in our country.
Thank you very much, Dr. Swamy. And let's move on to the next topic, which is a very, very significant one. And that concerns the former president of BJP, Sri Nitin Gadkari. Today, there was a hit job in a newspaper. I won't name that. And I've so far done 2 hangouts on this, Dr. Swamy. One was what I myself said, the way I saw what the reconstitution of parliamentary board of BJP, how I saw it. I had an expert come in and weigh in on why Nitin Gadkari was sidelined. Dr. Swamy, can you kind of walk us through? You have known Gadkari ji for a long time. You're one of the few who stood up for him when many inside the party were trying to write him off, writing a political obit when he was under siege. I mean, I'm talking about the UPA days. Right, you are the one of the few who stood up for it.
I know what was behind it also.
Right. So, can you walk us through, Dr. Swamy, what are the dynamics here? Is this just Aham Brahmasmi of Mr. Modi, or is there more to it?
See, Gadkari was a youth office bearer of Nagpur when I was All India President of the Youth. During the Janata Party period, we had two organizations of youth. One was the Socialists, which they was called Yuva Janta, and then there was one which we had mostly Jansangh people, but there were others also from Congress and so on. So it was called Janta Yuva Morcha, and I was made the first president of that. And it grew very fast, big meetings and all. Venkaya was a member. Rajnath was, was a district president of Gorakhpur. So all these people, I know them very well. Gadkari was always known as a go-getter. And he proved it when he was a minister in Maharashtra. You see, I remember because I represented Bombay for 2 Lok Sabha terms. And if I wanted to go and address a meeting in Pune, which is, so close to Bombay, what a hellish job it was to go through some parts of thing. He came and he built a roadway system where now you can go in 2.5 hours to from Bombay to Pune. You see, it's almost Pune has become now a suburb of Bombay. So he has shown his capacity. When he was party president, he completely modernized the party. He used to be, the workers used to, this time when in the party when they announced the new parliamentary board, and Gadkari's name was not going to be included, was already going around in rumors. All the large number of party workers wept in the party office. I know at least one eyewitness who can tell you this, but I can't name him here because I don't want to be beaten up. So, and I have lots and lots of friends because what a long association I have with from the Jansang period. I've been in Jansang, Janata Party, and then again BJP. So I've been in the same milieu all through my political career. So I know a very large number of people. And they were all saying, "Can you do something?" And I said, "I can't do anything because I have no authority." But the fact is that when it came to Gadkari's being not in, he's not dropped from the ministership yet. It may happen, or thrown out of the party, which I can't rule it out. But just being dropped from the parliamentary board, which is the board which considers who's going to get the ticket and who's not going to get the ticket, and the recommendation comes from the election committee and they're supposed to decide. And people always felt that, you can always go to Gadkari and tell him. So that kind of a feeling, there was a bond there was between the party worker and Gadkari. And it's been dropped without an explanation. If he's to be dropped, then also there is a procedure. You give him a show cause notice and tell him this, what you have to say, put it before a committee and let the committee declare it. This is the procedure prescribed in the party constitution. So he's just literally been dropped. And then he's experiencing what I experience, but I enjoy the experience. And that is the trolling that comes from the Andhbhaks and the Gandhbhaks, as we call them. They're all paid. They're all paid by one officer of the PMO called Hiren Joshi. And so these people say the most awful things. The best thing is to block it. But they are now after Gadkari. And Gadkari had to issue a statement today saying that, please beware, don't do these things, etc. Now, why should he be, after being such an eminent member of the party, why should he be subjected to this? And so I think there is a thing that many should start thinking, because we want a party. We were used to be proud this party has no family. This party is, based on karyakartas. But the biggest karyakarta, our Gadkari, he has been, treated in a way which is something which must make us think. And people say RSS don't do anything. It's not RSS's job to run the party. You see, yes, if RSS helps, good. You say thank you. But this is a thing on which I would have assumed anybody in the party who has any say would have stood up and said, no, you can't just drop him like that, because this is a nominated body and he has been party president. So all party presidents should be automatically members of the parliamentary nominated board. I remember in Janata Party, I contested the elections and defeated Advani, in the poll. Yeah, because of the emergency popularity had got and so on. And I was just a 35-year-old boy by comparison. So since this is not an elected party, then those people who have held positions and have brought glory to the party, and Gadkari really definitely reorganized the party in modern lines. The earlier party office that we had in Ashoka Road was completely different from what it was when it was first taken up. And that time we were all Janata Party, but we used to meet as Jansang people. And I know what it used to look like. And then it made him... so a man of this kind of talent should not have been by one stroke of the pen, said that this is the name of the body. They didn't say that Mr. Gadkari is removed. Everybody had to, by implication, know this. Or he should be given a farewell. Or he should have been told, listen, we are doing it by rotation, so somebody else should get a chance. So why don't you think? Or make him a special invitee of the board. It hardly matters when he's sitting in a meeting. He will always be respected, whether he's a member or a invitee. So something, but I think the whole operation sounded as targeting of Gadkari, and I didn't like it at all.
Thank you, sir. And viewers, you should look up what Dr. Swamy said about Sancho Panza. That's a very, very, very important story that is prevalent in Latin America. Dr. Swamy, on my monologue about this whole parliamentary board reconstitution, I found about 500 plus comments thus far, Dr. Swamy. 80% are diatribes. And it's all like 5-6 lines, and I'm seeing some coming now too in this conversation. It says it is screaming, it is coming from one guy. So I mean, show some innovativeness. If you want to really try to say that so and so is wrong and so is right, at least try to show some innovativeness. So Dr. Swamy, it is more like, I put 40 comments, so they can take 4,000 rupees. If I put 400, I'll give you 10,000. That sounds to be a thing. It is like a Tarkari bazaar. And so they're not doing a good job. IT cell, especially when they try to character assassinate someone, they're doing a horrible job. Somebody with a little bit of intellect can figure out that this is all a, made up job. Unfortunately, sir, the fence sitters seem to fall for this, which is why they are doing this. And the fence sitters need to understand you have to develop a process of critical thinking. See, here, all Dr. Swamy is saying, he's not saying that it is wrong to remove Gadkari. He said there's a process for it. Follow the process. There's nothing wrong in that. So what happens is when you don't follow the process, and Dr. Swamy, we are going to go to Tamil Nadu and the ruling on municipal and the Madras High Court in just a second. But the thing is, if the central government is in contempt of court, Supreme Court, apex court, then what face does the central government have to tell the state governments, thou shalt follow the court's orders? So who sets the reference here? That's my big concern, Dr. Swamy. And you know what I'm talking about. Without mentioning the word, we can agree that I know you know what I'm talking about. There's a Supreme Court order.
You see, I'll tell you something which is not known publicly. Jethmalani was a member of our party. Jethmalani, who prospered under him as an ordinary advocate, junior, and then turned against him. And so when he came into our party, into the BJP, but this one, Jethmalani was a very blunt man. He would say anything to anybody, but otherwise he had some wonderful qualities. I also myself had a lot of fights with him. I defeated him in 4 defamation cases he filed against me. And then one day he came and said, I don't want to fight again anymore with you. I said, say that to the court. And he did say it to the court. Swamy is doing excellent work on fighting corruption. Now I don't want to fight him anymore. I want to be his friend and so on. So he is that kind of open job. So what happened is, for some reason, Jethmalani wanted him out and they expelled him. I mean, Jethmalani, the man who fought in the emergency, was a great lawyer, was minister of the Vajpayee government, all that, thrown out. So he went to court. And then he began the process in the court of discovery. It says a process called discovery, where you can ask for, I want this document, I want this document. There's a process called interrogatories, where you say, I ask you on this such and such date, where were you? Those are all legal tricks. Which so it's there in our CPC, in a civil procedure code. So he was an expert. He was doing this. So they decided that this guy is going to cause our ruin. So 3 people went to his house. Amit Shah, who was party president that time, Bhupendra Yadav, General Secretary, and Jethmalani, who was then a minister of finance. And they three went to his house and said, on a pre-arranged meeting, they gave him each a letter apologizing in writing and saying that we are very sorry this happened, and your expulsion is unilaterally withdrawn unconditionally. Okay, all three of them. Jethmalani, when he was dying, he sent me word he wants to see me. I don't know what why he sent me. So I went there, and he said, "Here, these letters are for you. Don't use it unless you have to use it." And he gave me the whole file. You see. Now, I tell you one thing: if you apply the law of BJP itself, that is, it's there in the constitution, it's there in the rules, then none of this can be done. You can't drop Nitin Gadkari, for example. I'm coming back to this issue on this basis. So I am only saying to you that we need to build structures, and that's the only way a party in a democracy can succeed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Swamy.
But we started on something else, and I ended up with something else.
No, that's okay, sir. I think that it's important. Maybe the Mr. Gadkari is considering this option. It depends upon what you feel.
No, Gadkari, in my opinion, need not, because Jethmalani had an issue because he was not known as a politician, and he was known as a terror in courts, and then they threw him out. So he had a reputation problem. Gadkari has no reputation problem at all. I don't think he should bother even to contest it, you see. But the way they are subjecting, the Prime Minister should intervene and tell all the party workers, any one we identify, will put him in jail. I, by the way, took, when they were all after me in Twitter, I took it, I established who was doing it, gave the names, and I also showed how his own, the person in the PMO, Hiren Joshi, how he was financing it. And all this I gave to the Prime Minister. I heard nothing. It's only after that I said, okay. And then, of course, Swaminathan and our anchor today, who's managing. Tejas, Jagdish Shetty. My God, they went after them, and today most of them are, and of course I block all of them. So most of them have been defeated. So now they are going after Gadkari. So and Gadkari, if he wants any help from me, from my battle experience, I am ready to pass it on to him.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy. Let's move on to Tamil Nadu. The Madras High Court has decreed that the government cannot appoint priests in those temples that are based on Agama Shastra. This opens up a small door. Unfortunately, Dr. Swamy, see, this is what the DMK government will do. They'll tell all those guys who are supposed to, who will be losing their job, look, the court is asking us to, throw you out. You are deserving, you can put whatever you want, because everything they have taken bribes. See, this is the other problem. If you appoint somebody because he is well trained, it's okay. But they are taking bribes for even appointments, right? So how do you think DMK is going to react now?
No, see, DMK doesn't believe in Hindu religion or any religion, to my knowledge. So if they are vulgarizing our temple system, what better can you expect from them, you see? I think we have to understand why we are so divided. I get letters from every district of Tamil Nadu saying, in this temple this has happened, please come. I said, what about the local chaps? No, you're not getting any BJP. No. You remember that boy whom they put
Karthik
under.
Gopinath. Sir, by the way,
But
his
the
FIR
beginning
is
of
still not.
BJP, and the beginning the Tamil Nadu BJP said, we'll do this, we'll do that, and all. And then I kept quiet. Everybody saying, why are you keeping quiet? I said, let them finish. And soon they all slunk away because they got some order from somebody in Delhi. Don't trouble the DMK. And then I got in, and the man was MRV, of course, Venkatesh. He was very good in the court, and the man became free. So I've done this thing. I say that we people who are Hindus, whether you are Brahmins or whatever, we are responsible. I have been through this process. The Sabhanayaka temple, the DMK had made this as an election platform for almost 20 years, that the government will take over Sabhanayaka temple. And Karunanidhi used to say, I will not go peacefully to my death unless this is taken over. And ultimately, when he became, for the fourth time, the chief minister, he took it over. But he ran into a problem, that was me, and the Supreme Court knocked it off, you see. And in that they said, including on Archakas, that the only responsibility for the government is that if it is a well-established, documented proof that there has been mishandling of the finances, then they can intervene for a short time, not to take over the temple, but just to take over the financial management, correct it, clean it up, and then return it in a period of 4 years or 5 years. Now, temples have been going on for ages and ages. But how can I complain against the DMK when Mr. Modi and Amit Shah took over 104 temples of Uttarakhand? I had to go to court for that also. You see, so everybody, if you are not going to set an example, it's no use asking us to do it. We are BJP or we are RSS or we are. If you are yourself not very clear, and I'm having the same problem now with Ram Setu, I have to go to the Supreme Court for it. I had to go to the Supreme Court for the Ram Mandir too. The issue is that everybody thinks that the temple is a cow, milking cow, and not one masjid or one Waqf board has been taken over, not one church has been taken over. All the churches today are on illegal land. They got it for 90 years or something during the British period. That has expired in 2014 or 2004, for 2012 or 2014. All the land on which the churches are standing, that lease land has been expired. So now they have a new agreement and pay some money for the land to the government, but nobody wants to touch it. It's only the targeting of these meek Hindus who are in temples.
Now, this is not the only thing that the DMK government is guilty of. One of their secretaries, spokespersons, has made some genocidal statements. Dr. Swamy, you have decided to, you first waited for them to apologize. You waited for them to do something about it. I don't know if, Mr. M.K. Stalin said anything to you, but at least I think you went to court on that one. Are there any updates on that case?
I'm on the process. I'll tell you what I have done. First of all, let public know this, that there is an office bearer of the DMK who unfortunately has stolen the name of Rajiv Gandhi and taken it upon himself. He's called R. Rajiv Gandhi, secretary, I think, of DMK. He said that so-and-so, the Periyar, that is E.V. Ramaswamy Nayaka, said that all Brahmins should be subject to genocide. And it is time now for us to do that. So I immediately said that either he should apologize or I'll file a case, hate speech case. Now, in the hate speech case, if I invoke the most deadly section of the IPC, then I have to get a sanction clearance from a government authority, depending on the status of the person. If he's a minister, then I'll get it from the governor. If it's a office bearer of a party, I have to get it from the chief secretary of the state where the crime is committed. So I have sent it to the chief secretary, and he has not yet replied to me. But there is a very famous Supreme Court judgment called Subramanian Swamy versus Manmohan Singh, which says if for 3 months sanction, there's silence on sanction after you have submitted, then it will be assumed that you've got sanction. So that 3 months will expire in the end of October. Okay, so this end of October, I will file the case against him, and I will ask that once the warrant, the summons are issued, that he should be kept in jail because he is a menace to society. One thing I will say with Stalin, I and he don't have any direct communication, but there are enough people to come and communicate on his behalf to me, and if I do say something, there are people who can take it to him. When the Padma Sheshadri school was there, I received word that it won't be taken over. But then in that, I said, no, I can't believe that. So he went in the assembly and made a statement. There's no question of it. Here, I have definitely got word that they told him to shut up. But that's not enough for me. So I will
sir,
go through the process.
he has made some intemperate statements in the recent past.
Not on this Brahmin issue. You please say he's made on Hindus. No.
Okay.
That I'll take later. Don't worry. Once I get him on the stand, when I get him on stand, I'll add 10 more charges against him. Don't worry. These guys don't know us. Papan know the law better than these Dravidian types. You see.
Dr. Swamy, speaking of that, there's a very interesting story. I don't know if this is true or not. This is what happened. E.V. Ramaswamy Nayakar's father was a devout.
That Karmacharya told me himself. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So what happened was he was not very happy with his son's ways. So you know what he did? He deeded his entire property to Palani Murugan, and he passed away. Yes. Okay, so EVR was in danger of losing his entire wealth. And where does EVR go? To his best friend. Who? Another Tambran, Rajaji. So Rajaji looks at the will, and he says, hey, listen, the Pani deity is not Murugan, it is Dandayuda Pani. That is a person who holds the Dandam.
Same person. Same as Subramania.
But he's like a sage there.
He's a fighter there.
Yeah. Sannyasi. Dandam is Sannyasi Dandam. So he said, listen, all you need to do is put up a small Murugan temple inside your property, call it Pani Murugan. And then you say that this is what he has deeded it and this is how it is. And it stayed with him. His property, his father's property stayed with him.
Not only that, Parmacharya told me, that is the Shankaracharya of Kanchi, the man who was Sanjay, whom we all consider as God on earth, He told me every year Periyar or E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar used to win the first prize for the best maintained temple in Tamil Nadu.
Yes.
So he said, don't over misjudge him, so to speak. He said, Periyar had some good qualities. He single-handedly created a movement.
Yes.
Against all odds, you see. But this one is the one which rankles the DMK when you tell him that he maintained this Erode. It's in Erode.
Right.
In Erode, and every year it gets the best prize.
So the E is Erode. E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, the E is Erode. So you are right, sir. Yeah. So, so well, Dr. Swamy, I don't know how time flew, almost 50 minutes now. Unfortunately, viewers, I can't take any questions today. There's a lot of comments, and the same IT cell is at work, sir. I see some nasty stuff. He's not even worth looking at. But see, this is true democracy. You can fulminate here. We have no problem. You can do whatever you want.
It has no value, so don't worry.
Yes. So, Dr. Swamy, thank you so much. As always, we found some new information today from Dr. Swamy's memories. He's a memory of an elephant. I'm sure if you contest, that elephants are supposed to have the best memory. I'm sure if you compete with an elephant, you will win hands down.
That's a good one.
Thank you very much, Dr. Swamy. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notification. And again, Dr. Swamy, thanks from the bottom of my heart. We talked in the morning today, should we take it up? And we felt that after looking at that hit job, that's when I felt that, listen, this is not right. This person deserves much more than what is being done here.
Yeah.
And that we have seen here. And the saga about Raja Singh is not over yet. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But the most important thing here is, viewers, please refer us to your friends and family and relatives and tell them that we are trying our best to be very objective. At least I am, he's a BJP member, I am not. And I say it as I see it. I have been very praising. I praised Mr. Modi. I've also criticized him. And that is, good and bad about it. So let's wait and see how this plays out. Dr. Swamy, I'm sure I'm going to have you back here in a couple of weeks or 4 weeks' time, sir, where we will probably discuss some of the developments that are happening. Thank you very much, sir. Namaskar.
Namaste.